Bonjour mes amis, le café est ouvert, salut. Keith was a red engine, that's to say he'd been painted red, but even a cursory glance would reveal the patches of blue beneath. Keith hadn't been in the yard for very long. He'd been brought in to replace Corbyn. Now, Corbyn used to pull the workers' train, and he was a truly red engine. Although he was well liked by the passengers, the people who owned the island hated him. And so Keith was given a quick spray job and sent off to Sodom. As we've said, the people who owned the island, the oligarchs, didn't live there. Many of them lived on super yachts moored in tax havens and just outside the boundaries of extradition. Thomas didn't understand why the owners didn't like Corbyn. "Why don't the owners, the Ollie-what's-it," he said. He struggled to find the word oligarchs. "Why don't the Ollie-what's-its like Corbyn?" he asked. Edward explained. "They don't like him because they're afraid that he'll upset the status quo." Thomas couldn't understand what Corbyn, who was generally the most mild-mannered of engines, could possibly do to upset an ageing rock band. Edward had neither the time nor the crayons to explain what was meant by the status quo. "Half of them are crooks," said James. "The rock band?" asked Thomas. "No, the oligarchs. Half of them are crooks." Edward thought James was being impolite. "That's not very polite," he said. James apologised. "Sorry, half of them are not crooks." "Much better," said Edward. That the island was owned by the oligarchs was a fact known to almost everyone. It was also a fact that almost everyone chose to ignore. After all, the island had the best controllers that money could buy. The oligarchs gave money to the controllers. The controllers then took a lot more money from the people. They did that by the way of taxes. And then they gave that money to the oligarchs. And the oligarchs got even richer. And the controllers got to stay in power. And, as the newspapers pointed out, this arrangement was good for everyone. It was good for everyone. Well, everyone except the people. But then the people didn't seem to matter or care. As Percy remarked, just give them Love Island and the Daily Mail and they'll be happy as Larry. "Bread and circuses," said Edward. "Who's Larry?" asked Thomas. As soon as Keith arrived on the island, he shunted Corbyn and a few troublesome trucks down a siding. This pleased the oligarchs, and by way of distraction, they announced that there would be a new series of I'm a Celebrity. "That'll keep the buggers quiet," they said. "That'll keep the buggers quiet."